Namaste. Today, Angela Hryniuk with us, and she's a Buddhist teacher for Westerners, especially, and she's kind of Buddhist Lama without robes, and so she runs quite a few programs, spiritual guidance. I think Angela, you can tell about you and your programs and your workshops.
So I'm a spiritual advisor, I'm a spiritual teacher to people who are interested in the spiritual path, not necessarily a Buddhist path. And I have, sort of introductory programs, 40-day meditations. Then we do a program where they do retreats with me, and we do online work for a good up to a year online. And then they have spiritual coaches and mentoring. I write books. I also lead pilgrimage to India. And the majority of my work is teaching and working with people's minds, and not necessarily in a Buddhist context, but some of my senior students have gone on to study Buddhism a lot more. Yeah.
I saw somewhere you launched a new book. Can you tell about your book?
Yes. Well, it's an interesting story because I wrote this book almost 20 years ago. I wrote it in 2001. And I went on a retreat, and it was the culmination of my work doing a master's degree. And the master's that I was working on was not interfaith, but interdisciplinary. And we could just do a final project. It didn't have to be a thesis. Mm-hmm. So I took the work of a Christian nun named Saint Teresa of Avila, and I read her work as a Buddhist, right? And her experiences of meditation and of God and of all that, it was so amazing. And I just thought, these are the same kind of things that I understand from a Buddhist point of view. So what I did is I took quotes from her books, and then I decided I would write almost in response to what she wrote.
Okay.
And ruminate on it. So that's the book. There's 12 ruminations and then a long introductory essay on my work with my spiritual teacher, because Saint Teresa had a lot of struggles with her spiritual teachers, her confessors, and she was put to the Inquisition, the Spanish Inquisition, 7 times. So not that my experience with my teacher was like hers, but I talked about my journey with my spiritual teacher as a Buddhist. So it's been very mm-hmm.
I can see the book right behind you in the shelf. Can you show us your book there?
Yes. It's right here.
Yes, it looks beautiful looking book.
Yeah. It's my 6th book. Yeah. So many years ago I published quite a few books. It's been 12 years since I published. So it's fun. It's very exciting, and it's more like it's a book for people who want to be inspired. It's not I'm going to learn something really, it's more like a meditative and contemplative.
I think let's talk about your pilgrimages. So you come every 2 years or every 1 year, whenever you bring mostly your students to, we call it interfaith pilgrimage. Yeah. So I think we met first time 2013. We did first pilgrimage.
Yes, and I myself did, I think, 3 pilgrimages with my spiritual teachers over the years. I started coming to India in 1996. So I saw a lot of India before I even met you and doing pilgrimage. And I felt like I wanted to bring students, people who are interested, to the places that are so important as a spiritual student myself, for them to be inspired and for them to kind of see a whole different way of how spirituality is lived in the everyday life. Not just thought about or spoken about or read about, but actually the living presence. Yes.
So when people travel to India, so first time, when before traveling to India, they have different impression, different stories about India. And can you explain a little bit that before traveling to India and after you travel to India, so what things you feel different than you think before. When you came first times, what was the impression?
Uh, I'll be completely honest. When I got off the plane that first time, I felt like I was home. There was something about the land, just, I can't describe it, but just putting my feet on the Mother Earth, it was like, I'm home. There was, my heart just felt so. That was when I got off the plane the first time, and from there, it was really tough travel, very arduous travel in 1996.
Yes.
The trains and the food and the lodging, and I got sick, I remember, and I didn't get hospitalized, but I had to go to an international doctor. So, sanitation was different. Everything was different. And I came home. You see, I find India, there's this beautiful juxtaposition of, it's so challenging in some ways, and yet coming home with such a feeling of fullness. And I remember that, and I couldn't explain it to people. You come back trying to talk to Westerners who've never been, and it's just this fullness. And I just felt, we did retreat, it was a 3-week pilgrimage, so it was long and arduous, but yeah, I came home feeling very good. I lost a lot of weight in that 3 weeks, I remember, like very quickly. Yeah, because like I say, the conditions were so different.
Yeah, I remember you told me that in back on those days you walked from all the way from Bodh Gaya to Mahakala caves on foot, miles.
Yes.
It took a whole day. I think it's like around 20 miles. So now you can drive straight to the Mahakala cave, but in 96 you cross the river with the taking off your shoes, and then you walk all the way to Mahakala caves. Yes,
that's right.
How different.
That's right. And we walked through all the different villages, right? And saw the little children and the animals and the huts. And we just walked, and we stopped along the way, obviously, and we had lunch, but it was a full day of walking.
So in this situation, do you miss traveling?
I'm beginning to, I'm
like
beginning
me,
to.
I miss traveling. So most of people who used to traveling, they're missing now.
I'm not. I've started to turn down the Australia travel. I'm not wanting to do so much of that. But we're supposed to be on pilgrimage in November, and that's not happening. We were supposed to go to Bhutan in April. That didn't happen.
Yes.
So the bigger trips, I miss, of course. I miss seeing you.
Yes.
You're like my brother, Mika.
Yes, I know. So you're supposed to come like November and December to India. Are you planning to any other pilgrimage if something like this COVID-19 will go? And will it be India?
Yeah, hopefully for March or April.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And also you're planning to go to Nepal and Bhutan again?
March 17th we were traveling, and COVID hit. So I had to make a last minute decision, because here in Australia, the borders closed down on the 23rd of March.
Yeah.
And up until about 17th, we were going. I was like, no, we're going. And then Nepal border closed, Australia border closed. And it was like, well, we're not going. So it was literally the final hours. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm missing traveling, and the last couple of years we have very great tours, and our last pilgrimage I want to especially mention that there was some highlights of our tours, like Maureen taking refuge from you and Gashi Rakpa in Bodh Gaya, and again Katie, she shaved her head off, offering her hairs to the Mother Ganges. It's like a high spiritual practice, like spiritual ceremony for Hindus.
She had that motivation before we even left for India.
Yes.
That was one of the things that all her life she'd been thinking about doing. And I feel like the people that get drawn to the pilgrimages, there's already a lot of spiritual past in them, but they may not have anything like, you know, they're not religious,
Yeah.
but they have a big spirit. And I feel like reincarnation, you know, many people have come from India, have reincarnated in the West. And so that feeling like I had about coming home, I'm not the only one that's ever had that, right? And
Yes.
it's a testament to, yeah, the life stream, consciousness just continuing and continuing. And I love to introduce my people to those teachers on the planet who spend every single day of their life in devotion and in prayer and in homage to something, a power that's greater than them. And the rest of the Western world don't even know about them, right? And I want to introduce my people to them, because India is a place, I feel, that is so embracing and so accepting and so loving of humanity. Humanity doesn't matter East or West or Hindu or Christian or Buddhist or whatever. I remember being on a train once, and I was traveling alone, and the person was like, "Why would you travel alone? Come be with my family."
Yeah.
It's the idea that we're all family. We're all family.
Yes.
No, we
Yeah.
just
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a beautiful journey every time I go, every single time I come.
Yeah.
And you're a beautiful guide. I want to make a little plug for you, Vikas, because I feel like you and me are a team when I do the journey. And you're I say this to people who are interested, you know, who want to come on the journey. Well, then you get me, but you also get Vikas. And Vikas paves the way. He's the one that makes the physical part so easy, because you're the one that speaks to the bus drivers or to the, you know, to the other tour guides. And I, you know, like without you, the trips would be very different, very, very different.
Yeah, thank you. So how did you got interested in spirituality?
Well, I was born into a family that was, my grandmother was very spiritual. She was very religious, but she was also very spiritual. And there's a distinction in the West.
Okay.
And I watched her pray. I watched her go to church all the time. She cleaned the church. She, you know, she made dinner for the church. There was always priests and nuns. Her aunt was a nun. And so she was very high up in the helping and the service of the church where I grew up. And so I was always with her. I was always tagging along with her. And, you know, like in the Christian tradition, you kiss the Pope or the bishop's finger and their rings and stuff like that. So very young, I was kissing bishops' rings. And it just always was with me. And I had a very, really tough childhood. And to me, the only thing that kept me going was a connection to a power. So that's how I survived. You know, I was always talking to God, like, you know, this is crazy. Yes. Should I be here? Why am I here? So there was always a conversation. They say, you know, the difference between religion and spirituality. Religion is for people who are afraid of dying, and spirituality is for people who've died and aren't afraid of dying. They want to live. Right? So I wanted to live. I really wanted to live, but I didn't know how. So I, you know, spirituality became something. And then I found Buddhism, my Buddhist teacher, and I started meditating and working with my mind. And I was 6 years a Buddhist before I came to India. So I had been studying quite a bit before that, and meeting very high lamas. I mean, the lamas were coming to us. Kalkajits and Dampa came to Canada from Dharamsala, and so they were coming to the West. And, you know, of course, His Holiness and Lati Rinpoche, His Holiness is one of his tutors. So they were, Trijung Rinpoche, the reincarnated Trijung Rinpoche came. so all these lamas were coming through in Canada, and that's, you know, I wanted to come to India, to where they come from, or where they were living.
Yeah.
So that's how that's sort of, you know, that's a pretty general way of saying it.
Yeah, like in any other country or like Western world, India is now running towards modernizations, like 21st century, everything's modern. So kind of we are like the missing the India has the actual thing, like that wisdom or the spirituality or the positive thing the India has, the world was learning. We kind of in modern world we kind of losing these big thing. So
Yeah.
like I like to thank you, like people like you, that you put in connection between India and the Western world. Because most of people are interested, like you said, you had something, that spirituality from beginning in you. There could be more people that there is a spirituality in them, but we need people something like you, or some like Rinpoches, or like Dalai Lama is here with us. So we need people that put connections, that bring them to India, or not bring them, or giving them some guidance. So thank you, Angela. Thank you very much for putting connection between the Western world and India, and bringing people
we're the
here.
bridge makers. We're the bridge, you know, we build the bridges between the cultures and between the spirituality, between the countries, really.
Yeah, and you know, telling about the India also, you bringing people exactly to practice and feel about life here.
Yeah,
And
it's not you know, just for people to know, the kind of work we do, we don't go there as a tourist.
yes.
This is much more the spiritual journey of the heart, to feel that and experience it, because it's such a holy country. I always say to people, if you want to quickly understand spirituality, come to India with me, because you immerse yourself, and it's not a travel journey. We don't go to art galleries and things, although we do go to art galleries, but yes. So thank you, Vikas.
Thank you
for the work you do.
Yeah.
You know.
So we don't want to make it very long, this video. So once again, thanks for your precious time again, and hopefully we meet soon in 2021, maybe.
In very soon,
Yeah,
and you give my love to your family, okay, Poppy and your kids.
Yes, I will. Thank you. Namaste.
Okay, namaste. Lots of love.